Welcome to Flam, Norway, located at 61 degrees north latitude. Here at our northernmost point of our trip, we're going to experience the phenomenon of the midnight sun. At this point, we are only 5 degrees south of the Arctic Circle, the most northerly of the 5 major circles of latitude that were drawn on our maps of the Earth. We'll learn more about that and lots more in just 30 seconds. Stay tuned. Hey, hello, hi, and welcome to episode 4 of KPO's European Astronomy Tour. As I mentioned, this week we're in Flam, Norway, near the famous Sognefjord, actually at the end of the tributary of it called the Arlandsfjord. These fjords are some of the most dramatic geology in the world, with their nearly vertical walls rising over 3,000 feet straight up. Even more astounding is the fjord's maximum depths, which in the most inland parts exceed 4,200 feet deep. That's well over a mile from the top to the bottom. During the summer here in Scandinavia, the sun never gets more than 10 degrees below the horizon, so the sky never gets anywhere near dark. So you can forget about doing any kind of astronomy except for solar work. Around the summer solstice, approximately the 21st of June in the Northern Hemisphere, when we have our longest day of the year, the sun is visible for the full 24 hours north of the Arctic Circle. The number of days per year with potential midnight sun increases the farther north that you go. Since the tilt of the Earth is considerable, approximately 23 degrees, the sun doesn't set at high latitudes in the summer. The duration of sunlight increases from 24 hours during the summer solstice at the Arctic Circle to several weeks, only a couple hundred miles closer to the pole. Daylight lasts 6 months at the North Pole itself in the summer. At extreme northern latitudes, it's referred to as polar day. At the North Pole itself, the sun rises and sets only once each year. During the 6 months that the sun is above the horizon, it spends its time continuously moving in circles around the observer, gradually moving higher and reaching its highest point in the sky at the summer solstice. So let's see exactly how far the sun moves at far northern latitudes. In this simulation in Sky Safari for our current location, we're starting at about 10 p.m. on July 26th, and you can see the sun is still above the horizon. As the night goes on, the sun will set around 10:18 p.m. at very close to the northwest position. As it continues, it reaches its farthest point below the horizon at about 1:45 in the morning, when it passes due north. At this point, it's only about 9 degrees below the horizon, so the sky is still very bright. As the night continues on, the sun proceeds until it breaks the horizon at local dawn at around 5:11 a.m. in the northeast azimuth position. Now let's head north to about 70 degrees north latitude and set the calendar to June 21st, the summer solstice. Now we're north of the Arctic Circle, and you see a big difference. At just after 10 p.m., the sun is much higher, about 11 degrees above the horizon. As we move forward in time to when the sun passes due north, its lowest altitude is about 4 degrees. Since we moved the calendar back to June 21st, it arrived at this point a little earlier, about 1:40 a.m. So when you're up north this far, you need to close your blinds and wear masks to sleep at night. We've definitely been noticing that on this trip. So after this break, it's time to experience this phenomenon for ourselves. This evening about 9 p.m., we're going to drive up to the Arlandsvigen, also known as the Snow Road, to the Stegastein Overlook, a magnificent viewing point towering 2,000 feet over the amazing Arlandsfjord. So here we are at the amazing Stegastein Overlook. The road up here was pretty crazy, very narrow with a lot of switchbacks, but it's only about a half hour outside of Flom, so it's highly recommended if you're visiting the area. Check out this amazing view over the Arlandsfjord. As I mentioned before the break, we're about 2,000 feet above the fjord here at this lookout point. Although it's pretty cloudy, you can still see the glow from the sun in the northwestern sky, only a few degrees below the horizon at this point. It's now 11 o'clock at night. The sun set at 10:18 p.m. at an azimuth of 316 degrees, just past due northwest. Directly behind me is due north, so all the solar action happens around the north cardinal point up here. The angle that the sun sets at is pretty extreme, so sunset and the golden hour, as photographers call it, lasts a really long time. So if you're a sunset photographer, this is your prime location when the clouds clear out enough. So the nighttime sky is very bright throughout the pre-midnight hours. There's a term called astronomical twilight, which is the point when the sun's light can't be seen any longer and the sky is as dark as it'll get until dawn. This occurs when the sun reaches 18 degrees below the horizon. This never happens up here in the summer because the sun only reaches 10 degrees below the horizon at its northernmost point. So that's why the sky still remains light and the northwest horizon has its reddish sunset colors. Another amazing thing is the sunrise time, which is 4:50 a.m. This yields a nighttime, as it were, of only a little under 5 hours, but it never gets anywhere near fully dark. The only star that can be seen in the sky is bright orange Arcturus, 35 degrees up in the west, following the setting sun. Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter are just skirting the horizon and most likely behind all these clouds that you see. I did see Mars the other night down on Hollow Island in Sweden and did some astronomy outreach to a group of Swedes that were hanging out in the dim evening light at midnight. I never give up at this stuff. We also have a 19-day-old moon about to rise in the southeast, so it's right near last quarter. I took some nice shots of the full moon rising when we were down in Sweden last week, and we're heading towards new moon next week when we're in London, and we'll have a little crescent in the sky when we visit Stonehenge a couple days later. Let's hope for some clear skies. So that's all from Stegastein tonight. I'll see you shortly, right after this break. Well, that was an amazing experience up at Stegastein, and it's been neat to experience the midnight sun for ourselves for the last week or so. Let's review what we've learned about this interesting phenomenon. First of all, we showed the sun's pass in the sky gets higher the farther north in latitude you travel in the summertime. We also discussed that at the summer solstice, the sun just grazes the horizon at the Arctic Circle. North of the Arctic Circle, it doesn't set at all, and you have a true midnight sun. Lastly, we learned that at the North Pole itself, the sun sets once a year, and you'd have to learn to live with that polar day. So that's a wrap for this episode. You can see the episode notes at kpobservatory.org/EAT04, where you can find our itinerary and publication schedule for the rest of the trip. Throughout this tour, I'll be checking the site and YouTube for any comments or questions you may have, so feel free to ask away. In next week's installment, we have very probably the most exciting episode of the European Astronomy Tour. We'll be traveling to jolly London, England, to the Royal Observatory Greenwich, where we'll get a personal tour of the facility and interview the curator of the museum, Dr. Louise Devoy. We'll also get a tour of the massive 26-inch refractor and stand on the prime meridian line of the Earth. It'll be a truly exciting experience and a momentous occasion in my life. Come along with me to check out this amazing historical observatory. Until then, happy travels and clear skies, and we'll see you next time on KPO's European Astronomy Tour.